Hello and welcome to this video on Introduction to Celtic Shamanism. We are going to learn some pretty key skills today. These skills are everything that you need to know to live a beautifully connected shamanic life, and most of them will be much more simple than you think. Now, even if you think you know how to journey, how to meet guides, and how to connect with the unseen realms, then please do stick around anyway. It's always really useful, I think, to go back over the basics. And I've had so many people who've practiced for many years who've done this work with me and they've said, oh, I've never been told that, or I didn't really understand it from that perspective. And I really enjoy doing other people's introductions because, again, I still learn things too. So just stick around with it an open heart and see if there's anything that opens up for you. And then if you're brand new to this work, then rest assured you're going to learn everything you need to meet your guides, to travel in the unseen realms, and to get healing, wisdom, and guidance for yourself, not for others, just for yourself, which is really all we need in this day and age, to be honest. And I'm going to give you all the steps. I'm not leaving anything out, okay? I think you might find this really empowering. I am going to warn you once more that this is a long video. I can't make it short, so don't be a dabbler. Don't just roll your eyes and think, oh, I'll get back to it later. Just stick it out. Stick with it. We're also going to do a shamanic journey today as well, so you're actually going to practice with me. All right? So let's get started with the workshop. And here we go. So shamanism is a rich and complex spiritual path. It's been interpreted and defined in many, many different ways, and it's really much more than a technique. It is a living, dynamic experience. It is the oldest known spiritual path on earth, and experiential shamanism and animism can have profound implications for contemporary humans, which we all know because you're here to do this course. You really must feel that in your bones somewhere. Now, to truly comprehend shamanism and the shamanic journey, I think you need to embrace it in a primary and primal way. It's really about opening yourself up to its rich sensory possibilities in both day-to-day life and in the unseen realms. So shamanic journeying into the Celtic Otherworlds it's visceral, it's heart-opening, it exists to support your human experience. It's just so exciting to share this with you. Your human experience also closely connects to your 3 cauldron power centres that we're going to get into later in the class in a lot of detail. But for the moment, all you need to know is that your 3 cauldron power centres are a little bit like chakras, but they're Celtic, essentially. So really, to commit to a Celtic way of life means walking the cauldron's way. And a shamanic journey creates the bridge between the unseen realms and the seen realms where we live. And it's a way of communicating with your inner guidance, with your spirit guides, and with the divine, whatever you call that. So the shamanic journey is a way of healing, of releasing old wounds, of finding new perspectives. It's a way of discovering your purpose, of uncovering passions, of finding your path in life. And when you match up the skill set of a shamanic journey and shamanic guides with the framework of the 3 cauldron power centres, it can be really empowering and it can be really clear. There's going to be a step-by-step framework that you can follow for your healing, to find your purpose, and to integrate these things into your day-to-day life. So let's start with the unseen realms, or core shamanism might call it non-ordinary reality. I like to call it the Celtic Otherworlds. And I think the Celtic Otherworld is an elusive and mysterious place, accessible to those with the necessary knowledge and determination. And some gain entry through intentional efforts, while others are invited, guided, or given clues by the inhabitants of the otherworld, right? So you've got specific sites like lakes and trees and bogs, burial mounds, hills. All these places provide a gateway to these mystical realms. The Celts would often make offerings and perform rituals at these accessible entry points to the unseen realms. And Celtic culture is rich in tales of heroes who traverse, who venture through these portals, searching for knowledge, power, and magical treasures. And these journeys into the other worlds are sometimes called Imbra or Imbrama in Old Irish, which means to row about. And that does really suggest that bodies of water are thresholds to the Celtic otherworlds. So as you travel beyond your world, you will become the hero or heroine of your own story. And you will discover your personal quest to the divine through your 3 cauldrons that we'll get to in a later workshop, in the next workshop. So these tales, these journeys, offer a glimpse into the complex cosmology of the Celts, where land, sea, and sky were seen as interconnected realms, each with its unique characteristics and inhabitants. And when it comes to Celtic shamanism, the concept of the otherworld is really quite complex. It's not a single realm, but it's this intricate multiverse of parallel dimensions and endless possibilities for good and evil. Pretty much exactly the same as life on Earth as a human. And this can be quite daunting for people trying to wrap their heads around it. There are lots of options of British, Irish, and continental Celtic names for the other worlds. Tir na Nog, Annwn, Avalon, Magmel, there are so many. But I would just say, don't let the complexity discourage you. It's really normal to feel overwhelmed when you're exploring the other worlds for the first time. And when you're trying to figure out what map or name resonates with you. So I'll use the other world, the unseen or the spirit realms to describe this place. And I invite you to be open to where your guides take you to explore. And the beauty is that you'll always have things to discover. Think of it as like a constantly shifting landscape, like dunes in the wind. Like every time you visit, it might be different. It might offer new experiences and new perspectives. But it is wild and untamable. So if you try and put it in a box, then you'll probably struggle. And I think the best way to make sense of the other worlds and its cosmology is to dive in and have your own experiences. And this is where you will start to feel and know the common threads that tie everything together. So don't be afraid to explore and let the magic unfold for you. Because when you finish this workshop, you will not only have a set of guides or a guide to go with you, you will also know how to do it really safely. So as well as having many different names, the Celts also appeared to believe in the existence of 3 spirit realms, which if you're into shamanism at all, you will know that this is a very familiar way to kind of break up and map out the other worlds. So the lower world or the underworld was also known as the sea world, Muir in Gaelic, is often thought of as the realm of the dead and the ancestors, and it's associated with death, life, and rebirth cycles. And I spent a lot of time in the other worlds during certain healing rituals and psychopomp work. It's a place of the deep unconscious and where to connect with the root of self. And it can be as further away than the other two. It feels further away to me than the other 2 realms of the cosmos. And this realm is often connected with the lower cauldron, which you can remember for the next class. And then in the middle world, also known as the earth world or Talum, is often seen as the realm of humanity and the natural world. It's considered a place of balance or imbalance in the human world as well, balance or imbalance, depending on what's going on, harmony or disharmony. And it's associated very much with the cycles of nature. Now, I experience the middle world as the spiritual aspect of earth, and I tend to walk through the great tree to travel to this realm. Not always, but sometimes. And sometimes I'll feel a shift and I feel myself quickly there without the trees, where I'm taken if I'm connecting with my seership abilities. And potentially, I know people who will work in the middle realm with shadow, and there's certain amounts of ancestral work that can take place in the middle world as well. And this middle world is often associated with the middle cauldron. And then we have the upper world, or the sky world, also known as Nem. And this is often depicted as a realm of the gods and the goddesses and supernatural beings, the cosmos, the sky, it's above, it's otherworldly. It's thought to be a place of light, and it's often associated with the heavens, spiritual enlightenment, otherworldly wisdom, and this realm is often associated with the upper cauldron. Now, it's worth noting always, as with many aspects of ancient cosmologies, these worlds' exact meanings can and do vary across different interpretations and different traditions within the different Celtic cultures that exist, because the word Celtic is a very broad brushstroke. We have very many subcultures within that descriptive term. So I share what I know about these realms and how I might experience them, but the way to learn for yourself, again, is to travel there and ask questions and experience it, which you're going to learn how to do today. Now, I think that the spirit realms also hold infinite potential for the soul traveller, both in the direction of light and dark. And this is one of the reasons that I love to do this workshop, because there are beings of deep love who have dedicated their existence to helping us who are living a human life. There are some trickster beings who can be helpful sometimes, but often enjoy causing a bit of chaos along the way. Maybe they're a bit difficult. And then, rarely, but they do exist, some beings are malevolent and would cause harm if they were allowed. And I think that comes through in the old stories of the Celts. So the Banshee is a supernatural being known for mournful wailing, and people believed that if you heard this wailing at night, it meant that someone in your family was going to die. In my experience, this story of the Banshee is a powerful spirit reminding us of life's fragility and the inevitability of death. And then there's the Kelpie, who's a shape-shifting war spirit. It's a dangerous and cunning presence in the spirit realms, and this spirit often takes the form of a horse and will lure unsuspecting travellers into the water, drowning them, bearing in mind that the water relates to the lower world and the place of the dead, unconscious. So you can make of that what you will. But I think the Kelpie and the story of the Kelpie is there to remind us to be mindful of our choices in the unseen realms and always be prepared for the unexpected. So these stories, and that's only a couple of many stories, show the need for careful exploration of the spirit realms. In many old stories, the old gods or the Sidhe will test people, will want to know if the person they are interacting with is worthy. And safe alliances in the unseen realms are formed by consistent impeccability, humility, and reverence. So, by following the safe guiding principles outlined in this workshop that we're going to get to next, this will support you in building safe and meaningful relationships in the other worlds with the old gods and with your guides. And I should just say, I mention this not to scare or put fear into anybody, but I think a lot of modern books and courses on shamanic practice seem to skirt around the idea or completely ignore the fact that shamanic practice is not all rainbows and roses. There are many cautionary tales showing that impeccability and humility are essential attributes of the safe soul traveller. And I think that connecting with safe and ethical practice is necessary when building your foundations. We don't have elders in Celtic spirituality. We don't have a clear lineage. We don't have wisdom teachings handed down by those who have practiced them their whole lives and learned from their fathers and grandfathers and ancestors. So we must find a way together. And I really recommend awareness of these possibilities of light and dark and the unseen realms at the beginning of your foray into shamanic practice, while knowing that any perceived or actual dangers are very easy to mitigate. So, if you have an established shamanic practice, there's always time to weave some of the stuff in that I'm going to talk about today. And if you are new to it, then hold complete faith that myself and thousands of my students follow these 6 simple steps and they're always safe. Okay, so here we go. Easy peasy. The 6 guiding principles of safe practice are: always set your sacred space, always have a clear and simple intention for your shamanic journey, always go with a trusted guide, never barter, always close your sacred space, and always ensure you're grounded and fully back in this moment. And I'm going to go through each of these now in detail so that you can really know how to do, you can put this into practice for yourself. Okay? So number 1, setting sacred space. So the Celts were animistic people. They believed everything had a spirit and a soul. Their culture was one of great extremes, fearless warriorship, long raucous celebrations, the mundane hardships of everyday life, the veneration of animals, spirits, and ancestors. They had great respect for the otherworlds and the beings who resided there, and they knew that the old gods represented a potentially malignant force. And for this reason, we assume, although we do not know, but we assume that they would establish sacred space before journeying into the other realms. So before you undertake a journey, you will establish your sacred space. And sacred space is a safe container in which you can invite divine connection without interference from unwelcome forces. And it's kind of like a force field that surrounds you as you travel through the other worlds, right? It protects you from danger while allowing you to engage with beneficial and benevolent spirit guides and spirits. Okay? So very simple ways to set sacred space involve, you can draw on the 4 sacred directions. You can call them in a prayer. You can call in your guides. You can call in your ancestors. You can light a candle. You can burn herbs. You can create an altar. But what you're doing is you are creating within yourself the intention to set sacred space. And that's all you need really as an intention. So it can be as simple as, lighting a candle. I ask this light keeps me safe and opens my sacred space. It can be as simple as that. It can be much more complicated and long. And when we do our journey later in the workshop, I will open sacred space then, so you'll hear the sorts of things that I say to give you an idea of what to do, so you can stick around to get a bit more information on that then. But it really is as simple as stating that you're opening sacred space and maybe doing 1 or 2 physical things like lighting a candle and saying a kind of opening prayer. Now, the next thing we always have to do before we go on a journey is setting an intention. There are so many people that don't do this. The point of a shamanic journey is to receive information for your life to support you, to support your spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical health. Right. You can go on a journey with no intention and be given the secrets of the universe and you wouldn't know, because the guides talk in metaphor and symbolism. They're very rarely literal, even though people often take their journeys and their messages very literally. They're rarely literal. And in order for you to know what your guides are trying to tell you, you need a key to the puzzle. And the key to the puzzle is your intention. Okay? So an intention can look like, I am struggling at work. Please, can you show me how I can make some changes? Or I'm feeling really low in energy. I'm not sure what's going on. Please, can you take me somewhere into the unseen realms where I can receive an energetic pick-me-up? Or you can ask for other information. Some tips though: don't ask too much, keep it simple. You can always go back and ask more questions, but you'll get confused with your messages if your question has too many elements. Stick to one intention and don't change during your journey. For obvious reasons, it will create confusion. If you do this already and you get on fine with it, it's okay, but it takes quite a lot of practice to get good at journeying. So one intention, one journey. Now, here's one that people do find very tricky, and that is avoid fortune telling. It's a really murky business. It's rarely helpful. And it is your action now, today, that will affect your future. Okay? So instead of saying, when will I get my new car, my new house, my promotion, let's change it. Away from fortune telling and towards personal responsibility. So try this. What actions can I take now to help me achieve a promotion? What action can I take now so that I can have enough financial abundance for a house and a car? Okay, so it's personal responsibility. It's key. It's absolutely essential in this work. Try to avoid asking your guides what you should do. You know, you need to make decisions for yourself. You can't be passing off responsibility to your guides, but you can ask them to give you help to make the decision. Okay, so you can say, can you give me some actionable advice that will help me make this decision, and see what comes up. You can go back with the same intention more than once, okay, and you'll receive maybe different or more helpful information if you hone in your intention or you add some information to it, for example. And your guides will soon tell you when they've had enough, and you're not getting any more information. They'll just stop talking to you usually. And also, when you go back with the same intention, hoping for a different answer, your guides will tend to clam up as well. And then one last little thing is, I'll often hear students worry about forgetting their intention during a journey. But remembering your intention is not the aim. It is distracting, and it will pull you out of your altered state of consciousness. So instead, you want to write it down and pop it somewhere. Okay, so you're surrendering to the journey. And then when you come back, then you can lift your intention. You can write your notes from your guides in the unseen realms, and then you can look at your intention again, and your intention will help you decipher your message. It's like a key to a map. Okay, so intention, very important. And just one last thing, it can be as simple as, I want to explore the lower realm and see what I can learn there. Please take me. That's a good intention. You know, you can get really curious with your intentions. It doesn't always have to be asking for something. It can be learning, or I want to get to know my guides better. Please, can we take me somewhere where I can do that? That kind of thing. So you can get really creative with your intentions. Okay, next, number 3 is always go with a guide. Even if you don't know who your guide is, your guides are always with you. So if you don't know who your guide is, you don't meet them today, or they never make themselves known particularly, that's okay. You're holding the intention to go with your guide. The role of your guide is to keep you safe. Okay, it can be really challenging to understand the meaning of the experiences you have in the spirit realms without the guidance and perspective of a trusted spirit guide. If you go without a guide, you might feel lost, disorientated, overwhelmed. You might also be more vulnerable to negative influences or harmful spirits. So, and you know, without your guides, you might also fall prey to your shamanic ego as well, which is like the human part of you that wants to believe things. Whereas the guides act as brilliant filters for all of the human folly that we bring to this work. So a spirit guide or a shamanic guide or a totem or a power animal, it's all the same thing. They play an important role in supporting you as you journey through the spirit realm. They're your protector, they keep you safe, and they guide you through the different domains that you might encounter. They are teachers. They will provide guidance for you and insight. They will connect with you outside journeys and day-to-day life. They will help you in your life. When you have a spiritual team that you can connect with, you are never alone. You are never alone. It's the best thing. It's so lovely. They can provide emotional support. I've been very lonely at points in my life, and the spirit guides have been there to support me with that. I've struggled in many different ways, and the team is always there. Okay, they're with you all the time. They become trusted friends. They give you little pulls and nods and kind of push you towards things or pull you away from things. And as you get to know them better and your relationship grows, then that gets easier to hear as well. Your guides will absolutely hold you accountable. Yeah, they might shout. I have a couple of guides who are pretty gruff in the way that they communicate. Yeah, can be quite harsh. And as I've said, they may withdraw if you don't listen or you ask the same question in different ways, that kind of thing. But you want a different answer. They're no daft, so that usually doesn't work. Okay, so just to touch on some traditional Celtic guides if you're interested. So your guides may present to you as animals, people, elements, weather, angels, deities. It just do not limit the possibility of who your guides may be. And the Celts seem to have had a rich tradition of spirit guides. There's many figures from myth, folklore, art, archaeology that seem to serve as potent symbols of, spirit guides. So an animal that often turns up in Celtic mythology is the deer, and the deer was often associated with the other world and had the power to guide individuals into the realm of spirits. And the deer was also associated with powerful women, such as the horned goddesses. The hunting of magical deer brought people to unexpected encounters with the supernatural. Horses were among the most important spirit guides associated with wealth, power, and sovereignty. And while the deer led people into the other worlds, the horses would carry individuals into the other world. So a small distinction. Hares were associated with abundance, magic, and transformation. Early gods were often depicted holding snakes. Ravens associated with battle, fertility, prophecy, and the powers of life and death. And then a couple of gods and goddesses. So Ceridwen's a Welsh goddess of wisdom, inspiration, shape-shifting magic. We have Lugh, who's a god of light. He's not a god of the sun. That's a mistranslation. He's a god of light. The arts and war, and all associated with all skills and sovereignty and kingship. He's a very broadly skilled god, that one. The festival of Lunasa is named after him as well. Named for him. I just let that slip there when I almost called it a fire festival, Lunasa, but actually it's not a fire festival at all. That's a neo-pagan addition to the calendar, but Lunasa was a harvest festival, not a fire festival. Okay, so next, one that is less well known, I think, which is not bartering. Everything you receive in the unseen realms should be given freely and without obligation. So, in a well-known response to St. Patrick, Ossian, the Irish hero, spoke of what sustained his people before Christianity came to Ireland, and he said, "The truth of our hearts, the strength of our arms, and the constancy of our tongues." So bartering and transactional relationships with spirits can be damaging when the spirits in question do not have the best intentions, and the spirits with the best intentions won't ask for a barter in the first place. So the etymological origin of the word barter is the Latin word baratarius, which means cheat or fraud. Now, Celtic gods and beings were known to test travellers and to entice them into tricky entanglements. And when we engage in bartering or transactional relationships with spirit, we approach spirit with the mindset that we are offering something or being offered something in exchange for something else. And if you're open to enticement or you lack spiritual boundaries, then you will attract spirits who will probably try and test you. Okay, they take advantage of our human vulnerabilities and manipulate us into giving more than we intended. They might demand sacrifices or offerings that are not in line with our best interests. So an alternative approach is to approach spirit with gratitude and a mindset of giving freely and without obligation. So remember the old stories of people being trapped in the fairy worlds because they ate and they were eating and drinking without checking that there wasn't a price to pay. So just be careful. Okay. So next we have closing space, and this may seem very basic, but you'd be surprised how many people don't do this. So it's often overlooked. It's not about blowing out a candle and just going on with your life, but really it's about taking a minute to honour, give thanks, and release yourself from the space of the unseen realms. And it's easy to become enchanted by the energy and connection we experience in the spirit realms. I mean, who wouldn't be tempted? I remember when I first started journeying, I was journeying all the time. Couldn't keep me out of the unseen realms. It was so much fun. That was not sustainable, but it was fun. And sometimes I forgot to close space and I very quickly became burnt out. It left me drained and kind of unable to function very well in everyday life. So I learned quickly that properly closing sacred space and setting boundaries in spiritual practice is essential. When we're tempted to linger in these enchanting places, it gets difficult to come back. Sometimes the unseen realms can be light and bright and we just feel wonderful when we're there. Not always, it can be hard to, but sometimes in the beginning it's often like that. And the real world seems heavier and just not as fun. But trust me, you don't want to stay connected to the unseen realms unless you're in there intentionally with your guides, with an intention. Okay. So here's a few words that you can say when you're closing space. So I like to maybe rattle while I'm doing this, shake a rattle. I would say something like, I'll give thanks to all the beings who supported me today. Thank you to my guides, both known and unknown, for your love and support. Thank you to the old gods and the sovereign goddess of the land, nature beings, the ancestors, the spirits of the land where I live. I'm so grateful to be able to connect in this way. This space is now closed, but blessings continue to flow, that kind of thing. And I'll rattle around myself in the space until I feel complete. And then I might extinguish a candle if I have that. And my guides give me a quick nod to let me know the space is closed and clear. But it can be very quick, closing space. It's all about intention. Leaving offerings can be a really nice thing to do at the end of a journey as well. I don't have time to get into how to do that today, but it's fairly self-explanatory. You can leave offerings, outside on your altar. You can use things like milk, oats and honey, which are quite traditional Celtic offerings, but try not to make a mess that someone else has to clear up, basically. Okay, so then the last one is guiding principle 6, which is grounding. Now, spiritual grounding is a practice that connects your body to the earth and to this moment, free from the thoughts of the past or future. And we want to come fully back to the earth, back to our earthly selves after a shamanic experience. Otherwise, again, long term, we may begin to lose ourselves and struggle to connect with daily life, which is the opposite intention of living a shamanic way of life. Living a shamanic way of life is living a human life. It's having your feet on the ground and your fingers on the earth and the air in your lungs. It's not about living in these unseen realms. The unseen realms are like fleeting moments in a human life. Okay, so we always want to come back. You can do things like rattling around yourself, having some food and a hot drink, taking a shower or bath, go outside, put your feet on the earth, breathe deeply, slap your physical body, whatever makes you feel human. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about interpreting your spiritual messages, because when you go on a shamanic journey, when you alter your state of consciousness, when you use a drum or music or whatever it is you use, you will be given information from the spirits. And I think that it's important to talk about that in an introduction class. And actually, even people who have been doing this for a long time sometimes struggle to interpret their messages. And we have a group of friends who sometimes will pop our messages in and our metaphors in and say, what do you think? Just to get another perspective, because it can be tricky. Okay, so you might struggle in the beginning to know the voice of spirit from a made-up message. I mean, that's normal, but I really recommend dismissing this idea from your mind. Just write down what you experience without judgment. Like, your ability to know and discern will come with practice, but for the most part, if you think it's important in some sense. Okay, if you're thinking about something in particular and you're worried it's made up, there's a reason that you're thinking it. So just write it down anyway. And when we receive these messages from spirit, it's called direct revelation. It's like a personal handwritten letter from the divine. It's a moment of intimate connection when you, without anyone else, you don't need to ask anyone else, you don't need to pay anyone else, you have a direct line to a higher power through your guides. Okay, these are special messages from the universe. And a shamanic journey is a way for you to experience deep and personal relationship with your faith. Now, faith can be a trigger word. I apologise if it is, but it really is a faith. We have faith that our guides in the spirit realms are available to us. It's an experience, I promise you, that doesn't need any middlemen. Googling, books, controlling people, pigeonholing, telling you what's right, telling you what's wrong. None of that matters. It is a pure one-on-one conversation between you and the divine. Okay, so through this direct revelation, you can receive messages specific to your life. You can bypass the filters and the biases that come with learning from books and other people. It's a deeply empowering, powerful thing to do. So when you're ready to interpret spirit messages, begin with your thoughts first and your feelings before you invite any outside support. Before you Google it, just because someone's written it down does not make it accurate. And it certainly doesn't make it accurate for you. So if you see something like an owl or a raven or a buzzard or something, if you rush to Google, you'll see what the medicine is for that person, but it might be different medicine for you. So it really is important not to rush to Google. It's okay to read books and to learn what other people say about their guides or their messages, because then that can help you to see the sorts of things that you can think about. But do not give your power away to other people when you're interpreting your spiritual messages, okay? Occasionally, what can happen is you might run from the very interpretation that you need to see because it's too painful and you're not ready. And that's completely fine. There's no rush. But do write things down and go back later, because often the space and time can bring clarity for you. So do that. And then don't forget to use your original intention to interpret your spiritual messages. Okay, because it will help you, it will provide you with clarity and focus. All right? It really is. It's such a crucial aspect of interpreting spiritual messages, because people will email me or Instagram me, or in our main membership space, they'll ask me to help them with their journey interpretation. And especially in the membership space where I spend most of my time, then we do quite a lot of that. And I'll always ask, what was your intention? And many people don't give me that initially. And sometimes they don't know. And I'm kind of like, well, I can give you a rough idea of what I think it could be, but without an intention, then we don't really know what the point of all these symbols are. So yeah, always do that. And then we're talking about symbolism there, right? Understanding symbolism. And what will often happen in spiritual journeys is that the things that you experience will be either symbolic, so you will see things like a dream, you will feel them in your body, you will hear them in your mind's ear, if you like. You will sense things, you'll have an inner knowing. So it doesn't always look like a movie, unfortunately. So sometimes people struggle more than others depending on how the spirits communicate. But one of the ways to understand the symbolism in your spirit messages is to, what are your unique experiences and cultural understanding of the things that you are seeing? And then you can think about the collective symbolism rooted in shared mythology and shared archetypes, like the lion, very common, or the owl of wisdom, the night owl, it's very common, or the brave lion, courage. But then if you see a lion, what did the lion look like? Was it bedraggled? Did it look thin? Was it loud and powerful and shiny? Like, what does this symbol of power look like? What scenario does it find itself in? Because the scenario in which the lion is in will have a bearing on what the symbol means. So it gets very, can get very varied, for sure. And as I've said, you might not be given a technical or feast of visual symbols. You might not see anything at all. You might feel or sense your information, so bear that in mind. And one way to develop your skills is to work on your lower cauldron to reconnect with your interoception. Use your interoception as the sense of the internal state of the body, and this can include feelings of hunger, thirst, digestive discomfort, the need for the restroom, but it also involves less tangible sensations like moods and feelings and sensations of emotion. And it's often called the eighth sense because it involves the awareness of the internal bodily sensations. Okay? So it's a critical, interoception is a critical sense for tuning into the self, the environment, and the interconnected web of existence. And if you are not connected to your interoception, then you will struggle to understand your messages, especially if they're physical. So, two main ways to interpret your symbols. As I've said, what does it mean to you? And then what is the cultural understanding? And then you connect it to your intention. And then you work it out from there like a puzzle. All right. And as we've said, there are various examples of common symbols that we all know about. Another one is the salmon. That's a common Celtic symbol depicting ancient wisdom, prophecy, and transformation. But you might not know that. Salmon might be something that you don't like to eat and it makes you feel a bit sick. So that's the symbol that's probably going to be more important than the Celtic idea of a salmon if you don't really know that that's what the symbol means. So it's important to remember to start with what you think first. Okay. Right. So next, we're going to move on to our journey. Now, this experience that we're going to have is called, as I said earlier on, is called an Imbra or an Imbrun. And the Celtic shamanic journey is rooted in Irish tradition. So this is an Irish word and an Irish tradition. It's also known in Scotland as well, just not quite in the same way. Lots of Irish people migrated, don't know what you would call it, displaced into Scotland over thousands of years, so brought this tradition to Scotland as well. But it's essentially, Imra means voyage or rowing about. And it represents this profound journey into the unknown, symbolises like venturing into uncharted waters, and often literally on something called a coracle or an oarless boat. And this journey seeks to kind of transcend the known and embrace the mysteries that lie beyond. All right? So I really encourage you to let go of your preconceived notions. Just try and make some space. Have a bit of an expansive vision and see if you can connect to the Imra that we're going to go on shortly. Okay, so what this will look like is I will open space and I will drum and I will lead you on a journey to the unseen realms. I will leave you for a short amount of time to meet a guide, and then I'll call you back. Now, if you have your spirit guides already, then you can definitely take them with you, and perhaps you'll meet a different guide or a Celtic guide. Perhaps it will be a healing journey that you'll end up on. That's okay too. But the overall intention for this journey is for you to meet a shamanic guide. So please be really open. If you see a flash of eyes, that counts. If you get a sense of a fox but you don't see one, that counts. Whatever happens is right for you, so try not to overthink it. Okay? So what I'm going to ask you to do now is, when you're ready to begin the journey, if you press if you hit pause just in a second, but when in that pause, I'd like you to prepare for the journey. So you can lie down, sit up, you can prepare to move around. If you're a moving person, listen to your body and do what feels right. If you're not sure, lying down and getting cozy is usually a good way to go. Some people like to cover their eyes when they journey. So you can hit pause, you can go ahead and get ready. Maybe you'd like to get a glass of water for afterwards. The journey will last perhaps around 15 minutes. And you'll know when it's time to come back because I'll tell you. So it's going to be a guided journey with some space in the middle with just drumming so that you can explore yourself with your guides. Everything is held by me. My guides are there, holding space. It's all very safe. Think of it like a nursery. If you're new, especially if you're new. If you're not new, then you know what you're about. That's absolutely fine. All right, so I'd like you to hit pause now and prepare in whatever way feels right for you. You're back. Hello. Lovely to go on this journey with you. Okay, so we'll start with a candle. And I'm going to invite you to take some breaths. They don't have to be deep breaths. They can just be whatever breaths are comfortable for you. And the point of the breath is to bring you to this space and time now. Really dropping in and landing. Notice the comfortable weight of your body where you sit or lie. And feel the gentle awareness of the space that we are going to create today. So we call now on the four sacred directions of north, east, south and west, the sky above and the earth below. We acknowledge and thank the loving ancestors, those who walked before, from the lands where I am, Celtic, Scotland, Pictish country, to the lands of those who join me in this journey throughout our sacred world. And we are all connected through the earth and through shared ancestry back through millennia to the beginning of time. We feel this oneness and this invitation to connect with the unseen realms, to connect with the unknown, to connect with the space, the liminal space that mankind has been fascinated by. The space that mankind have created hundreds, if not thousands, of maps for. We feel that ancestral connection through our mother line, through the women, through the nurture and the mystery and the feminine power of eros and emotion and holding. And through the male line, the masculine, the logic, the strength, the structure. Holding the space in divine balance. And now we ask that each person who embarks on this journey with me receives exactly what they need in a way that they can understand. We wish to journey to the unseen realms, to the Celtic Otherworlds, to meet a shamanic guide. We feel the grove of trees circling, the ancestors, and any other benevolent beings who wish to join us, creating a sacred healing temple of light, only available for the work of meeting shamanic guides and anything else relevant today. We give thanks and gratitude, and we sense the enormity of the portal through which we step when we connect in the way of our ancestors, of all ancestors, through all lines, for all time. The space is open. Listen now to the drum beat. And allow it to permeate your body. This sacred, ancient, rhythmic thud. And as the drum beat begins to quicken, you find yourself drawn towards the liminal space beyond. There is an invitation. You feel yourself next to a lake. Perhaps you see it, perhaps you feel it. Just be aware that you are at a lake, water gently lapping. You cannot see beyond the lake. There is a thick mist in the distance. And you feel drawn towards the mist, the mystery. So you look around and you see a little wooden boat. And you climb into the boat. The wood is warm and welcoming. And you pick up the oar on the bottom of the boat and push yourself off the gravel or sand into deeper waters with ease. It's quite quiet as you row across the lake towards the mist. In the bottom of the boat you see 3 small gold coins. You pick up the coins and place them in the water as thanks for your safe passage. The boat picks up speed now. You no longer need to row, and it takes you through the mist. It's dead quiet, and you wonder where you will emerge. Suddenly the mist breaks, and beyond is another world. Drink in what that looks like or feels like to you. You reach the shore and the boat beaches itself nicely. You climb out of the boat. Look around. Do you see a path? Do you sense the direction in which you should walk? Begin now to walk towards the path or the sense that you have. Follow your heart and begin to move. An ancient stone circle appears in front of you, and the stones move aside, creating a doorway, inviting you lovingly to step inside its sacred centre. In the centre there is this flat stone, and you sit on it. Waiting for your guide to appear. Keep all of your senses open, your body, your mind, your knowing, your heart, your vision. Breathe into the beat of the drum. Relax any preconceived notions. Just let go. Perhaps you'd like to lie on the stone. Your guide may now begin to come to you, to appear. Can you feel the breath of wind? Or the sunlight in the sky, or a bird ahead? These are all visions of what could be your guide. I will drum quietly for a while and allow you to connect. And if your guide appears, ask questions, be curious. The next time you hear my voice, it will be time to return. You feel the call now to return to the boat. You give thanks to all of the beings who have turned up for you today, whether you could see them or not. They were there. You slowly walk back through the other worlds, the way you came, following the path back to your little boat. You hop in, and the crossing home is much quicker through the mist. And you're breaking through to see your world, this place, this plane. And you reach the shore with a bump, stepping out of the boat. You're drawn back into your body. Stretching, fingers and toes beginning to move. We give thanks to all of the beings who were here for this sacred ceremony today. We're so grateful to be able to do this work. We give thanks for the wisdom, healing and guidance, and we ask for an easy integration of the messages, healings, spirit and guidance given today. The space is now closed, but blessings continue to flow. Thank you. Okay, so take your time coming back. And remember to ground. So we're breathing, stretching, moving, tapping. You can write some notes for yourself as well, which is always helpful after a journey. So congratulations to those of you who've just done your first shamanic journey. Amazing. And for those of you who stuck with it to the end, even if you had a bit more experience, I do hope that you received something useful and meaningful for you. So in the next video, we're going to be learning all about the 3 cauldron power centres. And now that you've done this class, I promise you have all the tools you need to get started and to stay safe. And what I would also like to say is that in this section, in this course, there's a part where you can share any of your experiences if you'd like to do that, although it's not necessary. And if you have any questions related to the workshop, you're welcome to ask that in the course questions as well. All right, so I'll see you over in the 3 Cauldrons workshop really soon, and I look forward to hearing any questions or sharings that you might have. All right, everybody, much love.